It's 9 p.m. in RTD time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have gala dinners offered in honors of the participants of the three-round forums on inclusive and balanced education. For the international scene, UN deploys peacekeepers to help Malian troops after deadly attack. Welcome to our newsroom. The gala evening offered by the Education Relief Foundation on the occasion of the three-round international forum on balanced and inclusive education. The Education Relief Foundation is hosted a gala dinners on the occasion of the three-round World Summit for Balanced and Inclusive Education, which is taking place in our country from 27 to 29 January 2020. The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, his counterpart of the Union of Comoros, Azalia Soumani, as well as the two First Ladies of the two countries, Khadra Mahmoud Haid and Ambari Azali, were the guests of honor of this evening. The Prime Ministers of Djibouti, Togo, Uganda, and Niger, as well as the Ministers of Education from more than 40 countries also took part in the celebration alongside members of the government and parliamentarians from Djibouti. These were echoed by the President of the ERF Foundation, Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, who paid tribute to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, as well as to the authorities and people of the Djibouti for having done their utmost to ensure that this international summit was held in the best possible conditions. After the words of welcome, the guests enjoyed a memorable evening with a musical entertainment show and refined cuisine with marines full of flavors prepared by the staff chief of the 5-star restaurant at Kempinski Palace. A unique performance was provided by Djiboutian artists and a triad of musicians from the shows of resources and seconds. Nothing was left to chance in this magnificent evening that left its marks on heart and minds with the lighting effect.
Girale gaitek barukta sifaya biyo fanahgita ma'andi yo sa'alkat yo nasi jamil alladimar nasibi inni habiba nasi jamil alladimar nasibi inni habiba zama kalam الشواني على حسب لي طبيبه.
The President of the Education Relief Foundation, Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, who paid tribute to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, as well as the authorities and people of Djibouti. Listen to him.
I want to express my admiration once again. My admiration for every single one of you, for having traveled so far, to be here, to share experiences, to concretize once again dreams and ideals and transform words into reality. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I will end with a whimsical note. And there is a poem by Walt Whitman that I am very fond of. And of course, I won't recite it entirely, just for the reason of time. But there is, however, a very interesting end. Walt Whitman asks about the purpose of life. the purpose of existence. And he asks again and again, what good amid these, O life, O me? What good amid these questions? Answer, that you are here, that life exists, and identity, and that the powerful play goes on, and that you may contribute a verse.
In our words, welcomes the Minister of National Education Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud, expressed his deep gratitude to the ERF Foundation and all the participants crossing the seas and ocean to take part in these three-round forums. Listen to him.
Est très heureuse de vous recevoir et au nom de tous les Djiboutiens.
I am very pleased to receive you and on behalf of all Djiboutians and on behalf of the Republic of Djibouti. Dear participants who have come from the four corners of the different continents and have of course crossed deserts and seas. We welcome you to this gala evening offered therefore to your honor. Of course, I wish above all to express to you all our gratitude in appreciation of having honored the Third International Summit on Balanced and Inclusive Education with your presence. Many of you, I am sure, have crossed the oceans to come here to share with us your experiences and thoughts on this issue. The heart of the matter, of course, is development. I therefore thank the head of state, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, the time you have devoted, Mr. President, in relation to your very busy agenda, of course, and for us, your uncompromising support for this balanced education is truly a clear endorsement on your behalf.
The work of the three forums summit on balanced and inclusive education continues for second day, also at the Campus Key hotels with the participation of more than 14 countries from Africa, Asia, Middle East, and Pacific, Latin America, and Caribbean. During this three-day event, these delegations will give concrete expressions to the verse of the Universal Declaration on Balanced and Inclusive Education and the emergence of technical and financial cooperation platform mechanisms to support the implementation of the commitment made in yesterday. The official opening of the three-round World Summit at Campus Key Hotels, sponsored by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, was attended by many heads of delegations, including the ministers of education of the countries participating in the three-round summit, including our ministers of education, Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud, and the Minister of Education. The three-round World Summit is co-organized with Djibouti by the Foundation and President Sheikh Mansour, who was yesterday's head of state, side for the opening of the summit. The Minister of Higher Education and Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed spoke yesterday afternoon during the proceedings of the three-round World Summit on the balanced and inclusive education. Listen to the report.
A commencé à Djibouti en l'an 2000. Ça fait 20 ans.
Higher education began in Djibouti in 2000. It has been 20 years, a generation since the arrival of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. Consider it useful that from now on, higher education will take place in the Republic of Djibouti. We have, of course, first of all, created a university pole, and in this university pole, the Djiboutian teachers will only repeat courses that were produced and initiated in France. But gradually, we thought it was useful that our Djiboutian teachers should be trained to fulfill this role and be up to the challenge we set ourselves. The first thing that was done in 2006 was to create the University of Djibouti. And now, in 2020, all the teachers at the University of Djibouti are Djiboutian teachers. We created the University of Djibouti. It's a very interesting story. Nobody believed it. Who is Djibouti? And especially the President of the Republic. We left with 400 students in 2006. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves with more than 10,000 students. Can you imagine if we had stayed in the classic pattern of sending our students abroad? How many could we have sent? 10, 20, 30 to 200. Like so many people and students, we would have been excluded from this education. And this is where the word inclusive is very important, because it allows every Djiboutian student who has obtained his or her baccalaureate degree to have access to the university.
For his part, the Minister of Education, Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud, an important player in the organizations of the three-round World Summit and Balanced and Inclusive Education. Listen to the report.
Il y a eu une première tentative de contextualisation des programmes.
In 1990, there was a first attempt to contextualize the programs in 1999. That's the historical date of our education system. As I presented earlier, then another important date in 2000 was the orientation law. in 2001, a year later, we had the courage to want to contextualize our programs that we could have our own basic education programs. Today, the programs that we provide to our students from preschool to high school is a Djiboutian program. In 2008, there was the Round Table on Secondary Education Reform. In 2013, we had the first MNL program, contextualized high schools to the reform of secondary education. In 2013, we had the first programs in textbooks of contextualized high schools, and in 2014, there was the creation of basic education training centers. This year, in record time, we have been able to pilot the textbooks for first-year classes, but this will lead to the generalization of this new program, which has been retaught within the framework of the quality of teaching and learning. But also, we have an important period for us in the inclusiveness of our education system. It is the Djibouti Declaration in 2017 where the President of the Republic, the Djiboutians have again shown this courage. This small country, with its limited resources, has also had this courage. The University of Djibouti today trains its own teachers who have master's degrees, who have doctorates, and who come back to this country to teach their brothers and sisters and their fellow citizens.
The Prime Minister of Uganda, Dr. Ruhankana Rungwanda, visited this morning the different infrastructure of Djibouti Telecom and the railway. The Prime Minister of Uganda this morning visited the Djibouti Telecom Infrastructure Center located in Haramus. On his arrival, the Prime Minister was welcomed by the Ministers of Communication in charge of Post Telecommunication, Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, and the Minister of Finance, Ilyas Moussa Dawale, Director of Djibouti Telecom, Mohamed Assowe Bouh, as well as Djibouti Telecom's executive. During this visit, the officials of the different services explained to the Prime Minister of Uganda the importance of the underwater cable installed by Djibouti Telecom in the end. At the end of this visit, the Djibouti Telecom infrastructure leader, the first from Uganda, Dr. Ruhankana Rugwanda, visited the Nagas site of railway of Djibouti, Ethiopia, accompanied by the Minister of Finance and Economy, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale. Prime Minister was received by senior officials of the Ethiopian Djibouti Railway, Mr. Hassan Mohamed Kamil. The Prime Minister was able to obtain various information on the shuttle train between Djibouti and Ethiopia. He visited the place and departures of the train and the control services. After their participation in the three-round International Forum on Balanced and Inclusive Education, Uganda's Prime Minister Ruhakana Rungunda and Togo's Prime Minister Komiselom Kalasu took a guide towers of the port infrastructure by the chairman of the Djibouti Port and Free Zones Authority, Abubakar Umar Haddi, the Minister of Environment, Mr. Mohamed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilem. The delegation went to the head of the Djibouti's port installation. Firstly, they visited the Dorale Cantonal Terminal Management Company and the Dorale Multipurpose DMP. The parliamentary delegation went to the Djibouti International Free Trade Zone located at Pika 13. On arrival, they were received by the officials who provide explanations and answers questions for each of the delegation. Subsequently, in his speech, the Togolese Prime Minister Komiselom Kalasu evoked that the possibility of discovering the port facilities of the countries. Listen to the report.
Le cadre du troisième forum sur l'éducation.
In Djibouti, in the framework of the Third Education Forum, inclusive education is balanced. We knew that the basis of all development is the competence of a country's human resources. And so, taking advantage of our presence here in Djibouti, We wanted to visit the port infrastructures, knowing that Djibouti is an example of the development of maritime transport on the African continent. Togo, our country, which is also in the West African region, is the only country that has a deep water port, and with the efforts of the President of the Republic, we were able to benefit from that port. The autonomous port of Lomé had benefited from significant modernization, so that we have become a transit port, but also a port of refuge in the sub-region, and never said that we cannot learn from others. In our visit here to the port of Djibouti to see what Togo can learn from Djibouti's experience, and does not seem to be misled at all in making this visit because Djibouti is truly a leader in this area. Togo will learn from the successful experiences of that country. What we have come to see this morning is very, very edifying. We would like to respectfully congratulate the President of the Republic of Djibouti for his leadership and all the people for the work they are doing, which must contribute to the development of the daughters and sons in this country.
After his participation in the three-round International Forum on Balanced and Inclusive Education, the President of Comoros, Mr. Azali Assoumani, accompanied by the First Lady of Comoros, Ambari Azali, flew this morning from Djibouti International Airport to his country. During his participation in this summit, he also paid tribute to our country, Djibouti, a country that had its attachment, the brotherly country which we share a common membership not only to the UN and the African Union, but also to the Leagues of Arab States, the international organizations of the Francophone and the organizations of Islamic cooperation. He recalled this international summit and selected team recall a conceptions of educational quality and inclusion that is attentive to the cultural, ethnical, and social dimensions of learning that is fulfilling for the individual relevant equity institutions to the community. After the departures of the President of Comoros, various other delegations that came to take part in this education summit left the room for the experts. It is worth recalling that the ambition of this summit is the ambitions of a balanced and inclusive education, which is an investment in the sustainable human, social, and economic development of our nations and the world. It is therefore about introducing changes in the existing education systems. This inevitable implies the mobilization of human, technical, and financial resources in order to achieve the aspirations proclaimed in the Universal Declaration, and thus to support the state in this process of change, sees the need to create an international organization funded by them and to which it will be accountable. This organization would, however, be designed to be agile and capable of effectively supporting from a systemic and innovative perspective the changes to which member state aspires, as well as facilitating intersectoral collaborations in research and programs implementation. A meeting of the coordination committee for the project to drill geothermal tests as well as the Garabais this morning in the premises of the Djiboutian Energy Development Offices. The purpose of this meeting was to present the project progress and engage the different stakeholders in the project. Were present the Director General of ODEC, the advisors to the President, the representative of the Japanese ambassador to Djibouti, the representative of the Djibouti offices of JICA, some representatives of the civil society, in order to ensure the smooth running of the project. Joint Coordination Committee will be set up at the end of the workshop. The role of the latter will be to coordinate the main components of the project and to ensure the follow-up.
The land of volcanoes. Japan is also a land of volcanoes, and we are both hardworking. In Japan, we started using geothermal energy for electricity 50 years ago, and now there's 500 megawatts of installed capacity. Djibouti, they started exploration of their potential 40 years ago, and now in recent years there have been various explorations, very active explorations going on.
The consultants supervise and assist the young and dynamic teams of the ODEC, which is in charge of issuing call for tenders for the recruitment of the civil engineering construction work companies, obtaining the environmental permit, the acquisitions of equipment, and evaluations of the capacity of the reservoir, the drillings of the geothermal test, which is scheduled to begin in September 2020. Under the high patronage of the Ministry of Agriculture, this morning's validation workshop on the PTBA 2020 Progress Project took place. Several officials of the agriculture participate in this workshop concerning the Secretary General Ibrahim Elmi Bouh and the Director of the EIP Bragoita Said, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment Dina Abdallah Umar, and the staff of the UGP in summer present in this workshop. Several forms of project and different realizations in different files were present. The stable objective of the progress is to contribute to the improvement of living conditions, poverty reduction of rural community in the programs of intervention area, and to improve the access of households and the resilience the three regions in the interior for the project progress. For his part, the Secretary General of the Ministry, Mr. Ibrahim Elmi Bouh, said that the objective of the progress is to contribute to the improvement of living conditions and poverty reductions. Listen to the report.
The real pleasure to take part in the validation workshop of the construction to 2020 of the Progress Project, financed by IFAD. At the outset, I would like to thank all the stakeholders who are involved in these projects, in the implementation in a way very much to the issue of water management and pastoral populations severely affected by climate change. Particularly drought, globally during the first phase, 50 of the hydraulic works have been completed to data compared to what has been proven. All of them have been completed to 100, ladies and gentlemen. The objective of this workshop is to take stock of the activities that have been carried out during 2019, to approve the activity report for that year, and to review the PTB 2020 work plan for the 2020 annual budget of the Progress Project. I therefore ask you to be vigilant, make this review work of paramount importance, and ensure that emphasis is placed on the final objective of this workshop project, which is the validation of the PTB in the 2020 budget.
In the continuity of the control operation, the control officers of the Ministry of Commerce today carried out large-scale unprompted control operations in Sheikh Moussa. This campaign, conducted in collaboration with the Gendarmerie, aims to project the consumers against the illegal increase in prices and the sale of our poor quality food product, and to make economic operators aware to their legal and regulatory obligations. During these missions in the Sheikh Moussa district, it was noted that the prices charged for kerosene was well above the prices set up by the Ministry of Trade, and the sale of expired food product. 4 boxes of a small expired weight were seized by the controllers of the Ministry of Trade, and covering was given to the managers of the shops from whom to go. The Ministry of Commerce takes this opportunity to once again issue a reminder to all economic operators to comply with the prices approved by the Ministry. The Embassy of India, in partnership with the Mahatma Gandhi Centers for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, Djibouti, organized a Gandhi 150 to celebrate January. The events began with the unveiling of Gandhi's studies by His Excellency Ilyas Musa Dawale and the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry and the Republic of the Republic, followed by a floral tribute by Ambassador Ashok Kumar with other dignitaries. His Excellency also inaugurated a photo exhibitions of Mahatma Gandhi. Some of very photos significant events were placed in the amphitheaters, Excellency Ilyas Musa Dawale and the ambassadors. The event continues by his remarks of powerful insights, Gandhi's and interactive sessions was consumer organization, research institute the session. After the ceremony, the Indian ambassador to Djibouti and the colonel of the French Navy went to the port of Djibouti to visit a docked Indian ship. Upon their arrivals on board the ship, they were greeted by the dozens of Indian sailors. The officials were given a guided tours on the ships by the ship's captain. The officials followed closely explanations of the captains of this Indian ship. For the international scene, Algeria and Turkey in perfect convergence on Libya. Listen to the report.
Conclusions of the Berlin Conference on Libya. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune said in Algiers on Sunday, speaking on the situation in the region at a joint press conference with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is actually visiting Algeria. The Algerian president revealed that there was full convergence between his country and Turkey on the need to work together to implement the conclusions of the Berlin Conference, adding that the two countries were closely following the situation in Libya. The two leaders had taken part last Sunday in the German capital in the proceedings of the Berlin Conference on Libya, along with other heads of state and senior representatives of invited countries and international organizations.
UN peacekeepers in Mali have been deployed near the borders with Mauritania to support the Malian army following the recent attack in which 20 government forces were killed. Listen to the report.
UN peacekeepers in Mali has been deployed near the border with Mauritania to support the Malian army following a recent attack in which 20 government forces were killed, a UN spokesman said Monday. The head of the mission, Mohamed Saleh Hanadif, reiterated the World Organization's commitment to support peace and stability in Mali. On Twitter, Mr. Hanadif condemned Sunday's attack, calling it cowardly, and offered his condolences to the bereaved families, also wishing a speedy recovery to the injured, the spokesman added. Although no faction claimed the responsibility for the attack, available information indicated that there were indications that jihadists linked to Al-Qaeda were behind the attack, as similar attacks have already been organized by them in the western regions of Mali.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.